Canada's Transport Minister says the best way to resolve rail disputes is with respectful talks. Speaking from Ottawa, Marc Garneau said the approach that's worked in the past is working now.
The path to resolution of this issue is through dialogue and seeking to build consensus. And that approach has led to real progress in terms of the protests in New Hazelton, British Columbia.
Marc Garneau is meeting with provincial ministers and Indigenous leaders today. The federal government is looking for a peaceful solution to blockades and protests that have virtually paralyzed Canada's extensive rail network. The demonstrations are in support of Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs opposed to a BC natural gas pipeline. At the heart of the blockades, Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs are on the front lines, and they're pointing to a Supreme Court case that underscores their authority over the land. For more on this, we've brought in Delgamuukw. He's the host of CBC's Cross Country Checkup on CBC Radio 1. So now this Supreme Court case, tell us about that, Duncan.
Yeah, so this is a Supreme Court of Canada case from 1997, the Delgamuukw case, but I'm going to take you back even further into history. I'm going to go back to 1871. That's when the year the province of BC was created, and right from the get-go, the colony of British Columbia, the province of British Columbia, did not recognize rights to Indian land rights. They said they denied that Aboriginal title, as it's called, existed. And that discussion, which has been called the Indian land question in British Columbia, has existed for well over 100 years in BC, and multiple First Nations tried to get the government of British Columbia to address these outstanding land issues. Finally, in 1984, the Wet'suwet'en people, the Wet'suwet'en people said, we're tired of logging, in particular in our territory, and they said, we're going to mount a case. And it took 15 years to get to the Supreme Court of Canada. In 1997, the Delgamuukw decision, the Supreme Court of Canada said, you know what? Aboriginal title exists in British Columbia. It's a right to land, and the Wet'suwet'en chiefs exercise that.